Is your son trying to teach you how to do this?
I was like, is he kidding?
Busted.
It's good to have a tech person right next to you when you're on this thing.
Yes.
All right.
Here we go.
Here we go. Roll call.
So here.
Commissioner Apio,
I'm here.
Commissioner Page,
Present.
Commissioner Onat,
Here.
and Commissioner Francisco. And I'm here, Scott Matsuda.
So we heard it was just Terrace and Patricia.
Commissioner Courtney has to be excused. Would you like a motion?
I move to excuse Commissioner Courtney.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to allow Commissioner Courtney her absence. All in favor?
All right.
Yes.
Opposed?
Great. Thank you. Public comments. We have Mr. Ben with us today.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I've been glad to talk to you guys again after seeing you guys last month. I don't have much to report, except I think that our Arts Advisory Commission wanted to pass on that the art show is running from the 21st to 28th of September, and that we are looking for volunteers as well to just kind of staff the show and talk and just talk to people. I think it's a great opportunity to just work and talk to the local community, because you have artists coming in, but also a lot of different, people of all walks of life from the region as well coming and visiting. So that's a pretty cool opportunity to meet with a lot of folks in that area. And so yours, I'm gonna send out an email and have distributed, but if you're interested in volunteering, we certainly would love to see you all there, and vice versa. If you guys have some volunteering opportunities, I'm certain that we would love to hear about that too, and to participate where we can. So it would be very cool for commissions to work together a bit more.
Was that through the 28th?
21st to 28th, yes.
Got it.
There's also some activities like setting up before and taking the show down afterwards as well. I can provide all that information.
So would we contact to volunteer you?
I can certainly serve as intermediary.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
We have our minutes for approval from July. Did people have a chance to review, or would you like me to pull them up? Move to approve.
Okay.
A second.
Second, it's moved
Oh,
and
you
seconded
moved
to
to
approve
approve,
the
right?
minutes
Oh,
from
I was
last
just
month.
said someone moved up.
Oh, no, you're good. All right, so
Okay.
all those in favor?
All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Minutes are accepted.
This is our agenda for tonight. We're gonna start off with Councilmember Murray's report, and then we have our guests here to talk about the urban forestry plan. And we have some budget items to discuss and a lot of events to plan for, so.
That's great. Well, good. I'm glad you were up. We moved you up on the agenda.
I
Just
am
keep it
too
short.
always. No, actually, I took some time before this meeting knowing I was at the top of the agenda. So we've got lots of stuff coming up that I think probably is helpful to have the commission and our commissioners be thinking about and aware of. Lots of fun stuff mostly. We were talking before the meeting started about light rail opening, and we're a week and a half away now from the public opening, which is super exciting. We are gonna have they are planning a really neat evening of events on Friday, the 30th of August. from 4 to 8. We're gonna have a night market here in Mountlake Terrace, which is gonna be really, really exciting and neat opportunity. To, see vendors and from all sorts of, businesses and organizations in our community, and probably a great chance to connect with people in our community who maybe don't necessarily come to places that we always come to. So, hopefully everyone will be able to come out and join us for that celebration. Definitely looking forward to that. We have a council meeting tomorrow night. I think a couple of things of note that are probably helpful for this group to think about. We have an update on the comprehensive plan. So I know we've had lots of conversations here about that. We have our, I think, first full draft that at least the council has seen on that. It's 200+ pages, and it's beautiful and lots to digest, but I would encourage you, I think we've talked a lot about how that document sets the vision for the next, 20 years of our community. And so, would encourage you to have a chance to give input along the way, and would encourage you to take a look at where things are at as we have conversations tomorrow night, over the next couple of council meetings about that document. And if you have feedback, would encourage you to share that in whatever method feels comfortable for you. You're welcome to reach out to me, but also in coming and giving, public testimony if you have that, or encouraging other folks to take a look at that in the community. I think would all be really helpful things from the commissioner perspective. When we get into September, I'm not quite sure that I'm ready for summer to be over, but it's gonna happen whether or not I'm ready. I think a couple other things to make sure that you guys have on your radar coming up. We have a Terrace talk coming up on Wednesday, the 11th of September at 6 p.m. here at the at City Hall, and so we are going to be focused on the budget. It's another area that this group has had lots of conversations around, a lot in terms of the budget being an expression of our priorities as an organization. So, we encourage you to not only think about joining that, but helping to get other folks here to understand better what our budget, how that works. I think it's a complex thing for even folks who are, actively involved in having conversations about it. And so I think the more our community understands how those decisions are made and what the realities of the budget process are, I think, the better results we could potentially get to. And then I guess another thing I would just call out before our next commission meeting is just our day of service. So the weekend before welcoming week, we have our annual day of service on September 14th, or at least that's the day we have held on the calendar, and I assume that's happening since that's usually an annual event, although this will be our first one with that and match. So I know it'll be an adventure, I would imagine. So, but that is usually our day of service where we get together and do some cleanup of our community, which is always a good opportunity to meet folks and invite folks in who aren't necessarily coming to open houses and that sort of thing. So I think that's all I have.
What was the day of service? September 14th?
It's a Saturday.
Yes, at what time?
I don't have a time on my phone.
Okay.
9 o'clock.
I thought I missed it.
I got 9. Yeah,
I think that's. the
and
big-
bring gloves. and
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes, if you have hand tools or gloves, that's always
Hand
helpful.
tools.
But if you don't, they will still, there's usually some rakes and some brooms and other things, and oftentimes people bring stuff to share as well. So if you can be here, don't worry about whether or not you have tools. We'll figure out that piece if you don't. I think that's the big stuff. Yeah, and then actually, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but Thursday, September 5th, there's all sorts of good DEI commission related stuff on our agenda. And so I think we'll talk more about that during the meeting tonight, but that would just be, that's our regular council meeting at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. And that would be a night where it would be great to have. We've got a couple of proclamations as well as an update on our strategic, at least tentatively on the agenda. That's all I got. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. See, look, it just comes out of Chair Matsuda. I gotta work on that.
Okay, well, thank you, Councilmember Murray, and welcome to our urban forestry team. Laura, would you like to introduce everyone?
Sure. This is Andrea Starbird. She has her own firm, Starbird Environmental. She is a subcontractor to Planet Geo, who is a firm that specializes in doing urban forestry and helping cities to come up with management plans for their trees. I've been here before. I don't know if, you know, how many people have been sort of overlapping here, but I know you remember that I came and talked about planting 100 trees in the city, which we did, and then also revising the tree code, which we have done. This is the natural next step, which is to kind of make a roadmap that allows us to figure out how to make our priorities with regard to the trees that we have in the city. It's a reality, you know, who's gonna do what? Which departments are going to be responsible for which things? What do people in the community care about? So, that's just my introduction, and do you wanna just dive into it?
Yeah, I think is this mouse kind of how we move forward.
Yeah, this is a short presentation. I think we have about 11 slides.
Yeah, we'll keep it short.
And oh, sorry, oh no, I forgot. That most important thing, which is why we're here, which is basically we are wanting to get your feedback on our public involvement strategy. We have started out translating things into several different languages, and we'll talk more about it here, but this is what we're hoping to get when talking to you about folks about stuff.
Yeah, so as Laura mentioned, my name is Andrea. I am the principal consultant for Starboard Environmental. I'm a consulting urban forester and arborist. We're talking, just Laura did a good job kind of covering the intent of why we're here tonight. Generally, we'll go a little bit more into introductions. I'll have Matt Urmson introduce himself and give a little bit more background about Planet Geo, which is the company that I'm subcontracting with to be here tonight. And then we'll talk a bit more about what an urban forest management plan is, what tree equity is, and why we're here tonight. Not managing this mouse super well, so don't mind me.
Maybe you could tell them, yeah, that's.
Yeah, so maybe there's.
You can just,
Okay. Okay. Well, Matt will be happy that we can't see him anymore. Okay, so Matt, do you wanna jump in and introduce yourself and talk about Planet Geo?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us tonight to talk about the urban forest management plan. As Andrea said, I'm Matt Urmson. I'm an urban forestry planner with Planet Geo. I focus on urban ecology with a focus on wildlife, pest management for urban forests, tree risk assessment, wildfire management, and water efficient landscaping. And at Planet Geo, we work with cities on all things urban forestry. We help communities gather data, create policies and plans for sustainable urban forestry, and we provide software and support along the way to help programs manage their trees, data, and implementation.
Awesome, thank you. And then I'm partnering with Planet Geo. I actually used to be an urban forestry planner there also, but since I live locally, it's nice for me to have some more on the ground knowledge of the environment that we're working in. Okay, so like Laura said, we're here tonight to get all of your input on what community engagement should look like for getting people aware of and kind of engaged in planning for the urban forestry approach and management for Mountlake Terrace moving forward. Benefits of trees are possibly becoming more and more known, especially after we went through a recent pretty strong heat event. I think people realize one of the main benefits is reducing heat island impacts or just helping shade folks when they're outside, reducing the vulnerabilities there. Some other benefits of the urban forest are listed here. Wildlife protection, restoring ecosystems, capturing CO2 and helping with climate change, reducing stress, and people who live in higher canopied areas tend to have an overall improved quality of life, lower issues like childhood asthma rates go down, crime rates go down, average speed of vehicles on roadways goes down, accidents are reduced. So one of the main issues that we worry about with tree equity is that oftentimes in Washington communities, these benefits are not equally distributed. So some of the tasks that Laura mentioned that we've started working on already is that there is a public survey that has gone live. We've also worked on not interviewing yet, but we've sent a survey out to the Mountlake Terrace city staff to talk about urban forestry and what that looks like right now. Laura and I are gonna be following up in September to get more information and follow up and dive a little deeper into their responses into that. Laura, you want to share a little bit more about Trees for Terrace so far?
Well, I mean, I kind of went over all this stuff, but I would like to say that the grant that funds this whole effort was written by Audrey Meyer, who's somebody you may know, and who wanted to be here tonight, but she's not feeling so well. This is $120,000 that was given to us by the Department of Natural Resources to do this plan and the street inventory. You guys gonna talk about street inventory later on? Or
I think, yeah, in the next slide, I think we're talking a little bit more about what.
Okay,
urban
sounds
conservation plan is, and then we'll have Matt kind of touch base on that.
yeah, but I guess it's a little bit hard to see there, but the sort of overarching goal that we have here is that everyone should have access to the benefits of trees. So that's what we'd like to bring your input on.
Okay, so, and again, Laura kind of touched on the overall just goal of an urban forest management plan. The idea is that we're looking at existing conditions and then determining what the future goals, shared values, shared vision of the community are for how that urban forest should be managed and hopefully maybe growing over time. Things that are included in the UFMP, like Laura mentioned, one of those is a street tree inventory, and I believe it's the first ever street tree inventory from Mountlake Terrace.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't have any idea how many street trees we had, so I made some assumptions based on the tree density and shoreline. But it turns out that we have even more trees per square mile than a shoreline. I think we're up to 5,600, and they still haven't finished. So it's a lot more than we thought we had.
So can you define tree and street trees? Is it just the ones on the side of the street?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Or street trees you can see from the street, or
So generally we say street trees are public trees, so whether they're in the median or in the right of way, that is either the in between the sidewalk and the street, or there are some areas that maybe don't have sidewalks. Where the trees would be kind of set in, so they might look like private property trees, but would still be in that right of way. I don't think parks trees are included in what Planet Geo is inventorying, but we were talking about integrating parks data into the inventory just to get a baseline understanding of what Mountlake Terrace's overall urban forest looks like. And in part of that plan, what Matt and the rest of the Planet Geo team are going to be working on is kind of quantifying some of the value and benefit that the trees provide. Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Or also like right of way. When I say right of way, does that make sense to everybody?
Like where would be sidewalk in the future if they make a sidewalk? That's what you mean by.
Pretty much, yeah, basically an envelope that goes out a little bit outside the street prison. Go ahead now.
Sorry, I had a little bit of trouble hearing there. Could you repeat the question?
Oh yeah, I was just asking if you could give us a little bit of an update about the street tree inventory. Laura mentioned that there's what you said, 5,600 street trees inventory.
That's what I got from Rocky, and so this is the boots on the ground thing. That's we're walking around all the city.
And then just a little bit about quantifying the value of trees to kind of inform the management plan.
Yeah, so for the street tree inventory, we're looking at that being done at the beginning of September, and then we will do a total analysis of those trees. Basically all of those benefits you saw on that previous slide, how much stormwater they intercept, how much carbon they sequester, carbon they store over their lifetime. For a lot of the projects I've worked on in other municipalities, the urban forest has an asset value of around $20 million. So we're expecting to see something pretty high like that for Mountlake Terrace for these trees that have been inventoried. But yeah, we'll have to wait to run the full analysis in September once we have those. But we'll be seeing quite a bit of value out of Mountlake Terrace's urban forest in terms of those benefits. Is that, sorry. It's very
that's-
academic. Sorry about that, guys.
That was great. So then that kind of leads us to how these trees are distributed throughout Mountlake Terrace. So overall, Mountlake Terrace has a generally pretty high tree equity score, and what that is it's a measure of how trees are distributed based on community demographics and whether or not the communities are benefiting the same way from the trees. It looks at things like income, race, education, age level, and then compares that to tree canopy cover and also heat indexes. So if you look some of the communities, it looks especially like maybe kind of a lower area there, getting closer to that I-5 corridor, are on the lower end of the overall tree equity score. I will say compared, in my experience, to some other communities, these are a little bit higher than some neighboring communities, which does not sound surprising based on more than shoreline, which is a surprising fact. But part of what the engagement side of this aims to get at is how do we improve the equitable distribution of the benefits of the canopy throughout the city, and wanting to focus especially on areas that have been impacted recently by the light rail expansion project. You know, a lot of trees were probably taken down from the entire extent of that project. And then along the I-5 corridor and Highway 99.
Does this include the trees that are in private property, or is it only the?
So this score it's based on aerial data
Okay.
or LiDAR data, so satellite imagery, and does include basically every tree. Usually they're measuring anything that's 8 feet to 12 feet or taller. So it doesn't separate between public trees and private trees, and the inventory is just public trees that we're working on.
What's the goal? Mountlake Terrace.
It's a great question.
100.
Equity score, no, that's not feasible, but, you know, but what's not acceptable, you know? I mean, you're an auditor, 87 grade the score, you know, so.
But I'm gonna compare it, I
You know, what's
guess.
the goal?
Well, I guess, you know, that's part of what we're figuring out from asking people what their priorities are in the community, and then from that kind of coming up with what it is that we're gonna do. But I think in general, we want to have all these scores be somewhat similar. We don't
Yes.
want there to be areas of the city that are less treed than others. So, for example, I mean, I would say, you know, this means, you know, just off the top of my head, maybe you spend more time planting trees here and here, you know, I mean, or maybe we need to look at sort of more maintenance in those areas so that we can keep the big trees that we do have, that kind of thing.
When was this data pulled? Is this before or after the light rail cut all the trees?
That's a great question. Matt, I think, did you pull this image? And I'm not sure that the scores are updated very regularly, or like when.
Because there was
So-
a big change since the light rail started.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm actually looking right now. I pulled these scores probably about 2 weeks ago, but we'll need to see when American Forest updates their aerial imagery. So I'm gonna try and find that. All
Yeah,
right.
that's a great question.
Since they cut down all the trees there, because that was a long.
I'd say that was
time
several years ago, I think, right?
Yeah, it was like 2000 or maybe. Not 2000.
I was like, wait.
2020.
Stop. I think it's too long.
Sorry, like, you know, 2020.
Wow, they've really been working on this for a long time.
Yeah.
So what allows that 100 there versus the 78 up there? Yeah, 78, there's a lot of dense housing there, right? And the 95, that's
That's the part.
all single.
Mhm.
Isn't that 70 what a Safeway area is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely not quite right. The census blocks does not include Safeway, which is in the city, so I looked at it and I was.
But it's that area,
Actually,
okay.
Okay,
yeah,
so this
there-
is below Safeway?
There should be another piece to
Yeah.
that block
Yeah.
that's not
That-
captured.
That tan block should go all the way to where the
Yeah.
green line is, right?
Oh, or
Right
it's
section.
all-
Well, you know, if you look at, what was that, 226
What-
Yeah.
224, so that gives you a pretty good, so this must be like where I live. This is probably 228.
Yeah.
Yeah.
28.
There, you know, so this is a lot,
Mhm.
you know.
Oh, park,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense,
right.
it's 100.
Yes.
So part of the tree equity score is that it's giving kind of just, it is very rough data. It's not looking necessarily at land use, you know, if there is certain areas where we've got large warehouses or there are large parking areas where concrete is very high compared to vegetation, that is gonna automatically have a lower score. So this is really just informing kind of the overall analysis. So it's just one piece of a bigger puzzle that we're going to be looking at, and Planet Geo will be looking at more closely to help identify goals and strategies to see, you know, where in the areas where people are working, living their daily lives that might need some additional tree cover for those benefits to be more distributed through the city.
Maybe around schools.
Right,
Yeah,
because I think
exactly.
that the high school is in that 78 and they use the Crum Rubber field, so it's not even grass.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
is that,
not Crum Rubber though, because I made a report.
Okay. There were so many
I was like,
conversations.
No.
My first couple
No,
school
Crum
board
Rubber.
meetings was like Crum Rubber.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, because my kid will be going there next year.
Yeah, exactly. So you can clean up your pond.
Thank you.
Go ahead. No, I just was gonna say something and I completely lost my thoughts, so go ahead.
That's okay.
Come back to me.
Well, I think this is bringing up really good points, right? We're looking at, you're already all recognizing kind of what's missing here, what should be included. You all know your community better than I do. I live an hour south. Planet Geo is headquartered in Colorado. So we're gonna be looking to you all and the community engagement to really inform kind of the future planning. And to give us a better idea of what the benefits that are being felt every day are and which aren't.
Yeah, so, touching on that, I would say one of the goals, that I asked folks to consider for Planet Geo is this idea that they use in Europe, which is, it's called the 330-300, and you should be able to see 3 good-sized trees from where you live, in an area that has 30% tree canopy and be able to be 300 meters from a park, someplace you can go to see trees. And I feel like that's the kind of goal that makes more sense to people than this whole idea of tree canopy, which is, I don't know, it's a bit wonky, techy, data driven, which I think that you need something that makes sense to people on the ground.
I think one of the benefits of the 330-300 rule is that it does end up taking that. There are a lot of plans regionally even that have been based on a citywide tree canopy cover, but as you just saw on that slide, even if Mountlake Terrace is hitting a basic tree canopy cover, that doesn't mean that everybody's benefiting from that. So the 330-300 really makes sure that each neighborhood is getting that 30% canopy cover. And maybe 30% isn't exactly the right number for every community, but that's for the planning.
But it's an idea,
But
it's
right.
kind of like a goal that
It's visible.
needs, that can be implemented.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that, Laura worked on regulations last year that I think you were all involved in some way, reviewing, that was about retaining certain trees during the development process and ensuring that development retains a certain amount of a percent, like for a clear cut type of situation, that they're not clear cutting, that they're saving like what 30% of the development area.
Yeah, I mean, like they have 3 options, they can save 25% when they're finished, or they can replace the trees at a higher amount than the size of the tree, or they can pay fee in lieu, which goes to pay for new trees other places. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that we're looking at doing the canopy goals by zoning area, so residential areas more, some of the industrial areas mix, would have less.
Yeah. And a lot of times, in cities, most of the trees end up being on private property, and so then we have to think about what are strategies we can use to encourage our private owners to retain trees on their property, not outside of development, but just like, hey, it's okay to plant a tree on property.
Well, I think also like maintenance is expensive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's very expensive,
Yes.
and so there's ways that we can make that burden a little bit less. that's.
Force them. Force my neighbor to plant trees. I hope she's hearing this.
Well, those are questions that we're hoping, or suggestions that we're hoping to get in our overall outreach. So some of the things that we've done so far for outreach, I mentioned earlier, we sent a staff survey out to folks, working with trees in their daily work at Mountlake Terrace. Our first of 2 public surveys is currently live, that is translated into Spanish and Vietnamese. We'll have QR codes at the end of this. Actually, we're gonna ask all of you to take the survey. And then you and Audrey have already tabled at several events.
Yes,
right?
yeah, so we've been, we've been postering and tabling. We've also got a flyer, one flyer that's in Spanish and one in Vietnamese that I've been, finding out where we should be posting. I talked to Len, who had some ideas. I talked to Rebecca about that. I also have a very eager intern who's like all about posting and flagging, finding out things. We're also, I had to make a list of all the faith-based communities in the city to try to see if we can do some outreach that way. We've done social media, there's been a thing in the Mountlake Terrace News about it. But maybe there's some other avenues that we haven't thought of, so.
Yeah, which I think really just brings us to why we're here, and we'd love to hear your ideas about direction that engagement should take. We are looking at developing a second survey that talks about canopy goals specifically and asks people a little bit more questions about the future of the urban forest in Mountlake Terrace. And that's going to be based on information gleaned from the street tree inventory and other planning kind of geos looking through kind of research with the benchmarking, comparing kind of what Mountlake Terrace looks like compared to other cities.
I really like that second survey to be testing, some of these ideas and seeing what people really think about them. So not just gathering information, but saying if we did, how do you prioritize these things?
I think that, and it's kind of like ties into like everything, like, we are moving towards, someone said to me the other day, when we was talking about welcoming week and, we was coming, here and we'll be asking for our input. And the question that was asked to me by a Hispanic was, well, how are you making sure that this information is going out to different, nationalities? And, we talked about the things that you just mentioned. They said, well, how are you making sure that they're getting it? And what the person was getting at was that, you should have, we, meaning us, should have ambassadors in the community that can help us, whether it's with welcoming week or with this or with the comp plan and getting ideas. He said, you have ambassadors, it's like, well, we started to a few years ago try to get ambassadors, but we never got there. And I remember Ricky a couple of years ago, before she was a manager, she had a list of influencers. I use that term, that's the term, I guess. I don't mean those people that are on YouTube, but in the community, and she had a list of them, that she was actively introducing herself to and to find out if they would be interested, if we would be interested in connecting, for ambassadorship. So that might be an avenue, because we can't do this without ambassadors, and I also thought of, I know we've got Marcella, I was wondering where she's at in all of this, because she's the one who's been knocking on the doors of those that aren't getting this information about the comp plan. So, maybe she would know who some of these people are that we can connect to, that's got a bigger spider web than we have,
So Marcella Diaz was our equity engagement consultant for the comp plan. And so she's got a few names of groups.
That'd be great, yeah.
So
Have you connected with the Mountlake Terrace Community Connections? Is that what it's called? The nonprofit style arm of the Business Association, the Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
that's the word.
No, because I didn't actually know about it, so. thank
Yes.
you.
So because they have, the folks that go to those meetings have a wide network.
Okay.
Yeah, I think something I failed to mention just in our discussions, this kind of started going in a great direction very quickly, is from this meeting, part of our next steps is actually creating a community engagement strategy. So looking at who those existing community members are or groups are that we can use as touch points and hopefully rely on them to kind of get the information out to their networks. Instead of, Laura and her eager intern trying to go engage every individual.
He's like, we should put these in bars, I'm like.
And he's leaving at the end of the month.
Carol's like, oh, I don't know about putting this in bars. I was like, she's like, I go to places where people congregate, I'm like, well. But yeah, can't fault it for enthusiasm.
Can we leverage the library?
Oh,
Yes.
We typically do postings there, and you mean like having a meeting room? Or what do you mean?
Look, I mean, do they have like a newsletter that they send to their members or something?
No, I don't think they have a newsletter, but they have a board that we typically post on.
What about the story time? Like making a strategic connection, like go to, yes, have this, because they do story time in different languages. And so
captive audience, the parents are there bored.
the parents, they're
You've never taken your children to story time.
but
I
even
no time for boredom.
but even if you had the flyer in that language, and
Sure.
if you talk to the librarian, the children's librarians about
That's a great idea.
reading a tree book and then sharing the survey.
I didn't realize that they read books in different languages.
Yes,
So
there's
that's great.
Ukrainian, I think, and Spanish. I don't know what other languages there are, but my friend came up here because she wanted her daughter to be exposed to Ukrainian. Her grandmother spoke it and she didn't retain enough to speak, but enough to understand grandma. So,
Thank you.
And we have a pretty big list of community groups through the content too. I will check.
That would be great. Yeah.
May I ask a question? Sorry to interrupt, I was just curious, are you guys purely collecting data through like quantitative data, or are you guys doing like interviews and stuff as well? To capture some of that more like qualitative richness that, such things you might provide. Just
So,
curious.
yeah, that's a great question. I will say first off that the community engagement budgets for these types of projects are never as robust as I'm sure we would all like them to be. So as far as the really broad public surveys, they are just like an online survey that folks will take. And then we look at the data from there. In the engagement summary, we will, if there's always a spot for people to add additional comments. So we do often highlight additional comments as those come through to kind of, especially if something seems like it is getting at the heart of maybe multiple comments or if we're seeing themes emerge from there. Meeting with you all and the Parks Association, RPAC, and then we have a few more meetings kind of scoped to continue talking for like community engagement, but that is, I think, mostly gonna be a strategy meetings with folks from RPAC and this community service commission.
Yeah. And it is, while it is entirely online, I mean, I met an older lady who said she, didn't have access to the internet, so I gave her my card and was like, hey, you can call me up and I will fill it out for you. We can go over on the phone, or you can come here and I'll, kind of set you up with one of the computers in the lobby. So I'm trying to put multiple avenues on that for sure, so we could get to.
So we don't have the budget for print out survey with return stamp on the envelope. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
How do we,
can print some out and bring them to the library.
Yeah, I mean, maybe,
Oh,
we could print them out, maybe we could bring them to the library, like bring them to certain places, we could put them here in the lobby or, you know, other places.
And drop off like a
Yeah.
return here.
We can make it a condition for people to use the library computer first, you have to fill out the survey.
Wow.
You know,
I think you would have to visit the
what I think
library
about
board.
is when you have stuff like that, if I'm gonna leave it at the library, or if I'm gonna post something in somebody's store, or gonna ask somebody to go ask a business, can we leave this here? I think it's important that that individual, or it's at the library, because some of the librarian's gonna tell a parent, well, while you're here, can you fill this out? Well, what is this? And it's helpful if there is an elevator speech available for the folks that are asking people. I know we got the pamphlet, but there's a lot of stuff on the pamphlet. I got it on my whiteboard, and I look at it every day, a piece of it, trying to understand it, you know. And not that it's confusing, but there's a lot. And, you know, but an elevator speech that will enable someone to be able to say to Scott, at your business, can you have these? Well, what is it? Well, this is what it is. This is what it's for. This is what we're looking to do. And then that person can share it with the people that are trying to, because if you tell them too much, they're gonna run away. If you don't tell them enough, they're not gonna do it, right? You know, so,
Yeah,
so if you have something like that to give folks, you know, that's gonna work in your behalf. It could be.
yeah, no, I agree, yeah. I mostly talk about it as a road map, because I feel like that's what I want it to be, is like how we get from here to there. But that's a great thing to remember, is that it needs to be something short, that's, you know, convincing to people.
How do we get to that 78% area, you know, those areas there with the large housing areas that aren't owned by those particular people that will read this? How do we affect those areas?
Do you mean like the housing development
Yeah.
in that particular area?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we have, you know, we can make door hangers and you kind of, you know, do that, do sort of like a real focused outreach in certain areas. That's what Audrey and I did for Audrey and I, another woman named Sophie, did in some of the high priority areas along I-5 and 99 for the tree giveaway.
yeah,
So there's ways to do that, but I think also, you know.
but consortiums own these properties, not the people who live there.
Oh, right, you mean people who are renters in
Yes.
that.
So they'll receive the information,
Yeah.
but where do they go with that?
I think it's fine if they're renters and they, you know, they live in the city to provide their input on it. It's not like the tree situation where they had to have permission from the property owner. So I think the survey is available to renters as well as people in others.
Okay,
You're
I'm
not
having
asking them
great
to do
difficulty
anything.
with this
So,
because
do you think
if they don't own the property, so they're not able to, you know, erect a tree or, you know, dig a hole and place a tree on the property that's not theirs. Are we talking to the owners of these properties and letting them know about our project and how they could enhance those areas?
I think that sounds like an action item for the plan itself, right? I mean, to sort of say like, this is, these are the people that we need to be reaching out to. They're not necessarily people who live here, right? So, but this could be something that we would do as part of trying to increase the amount of trees that are available to people.
Remember, it might have been Twitter Terrace, or we were at a booth, so it must have been Twitter Terrace. And somebody said to think to you, or to, was it Evan, that his name?
Ethan,
Ethan.
yeah.
They said, yeah, but I don't own, I only rent. And the reply that was given to them, which is like, yeah, but what we want to know is, what is your opinion? We're not
Yes,
asking you
yes,
to build
exactly.
or dig or do anything. what is your opinion? If you get 5,000 renters that say, yes, we want to be able from our window to see 3 trees, or 30 feet away is half bang, or we can get to a tree within 300 feet. Then that's a message that then you get to share with those owners and everybody else and with the city in terms of how you really want to distribute it. Those areas aren't gonna get trees, but they might be within 300 feet, or it might be 3 trees they might be able to see from out their window. You know, but at least you're getting their opinion, and that's all you're looking for.
Right, exactly, yeah, for the survey, and that's the point is that maybe the trees aren't on the property where they live, but they have access to
Yeah.
a local park, something like that.
Right, other canopy equity
Uh,
kind of areas that we're looking at are places where people are recreating and then also either working or going to school. So other large swaths of their day and what that time is and where that's spent.
Any other questions or comments?
It's a cool thing.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I read about how London has like 21% tree cover or something like that, so it can by definition be considered a forest. And I don't know how accurate that was. I just picked up that little bit of information from Instagram. Anyway, but I thought that was really interesting. You know, it helps cool things down, and that whole thing around traffic. Like it slows traffic down, the areas that have more trees, and that's what happens there. They're beginning to notice some of the positive things that people never really thought about. I bought my place because I have, you know, it's just my daughter and within walking distance, we can get to 5 different parks. And from my house, I can see at least the more than 3 trees. And yeah, it felt like home.
Yeah.
And I think addressing reasons that people who move in to places cut trees down because they are expensive. And we do get really great gusts of wind and convergence zone storms. So when we moved here, my parents were like, oh, you need to cut all these trees down. And we're like, wait. I mean, we cut down the ones that were planted way too close to the house and were like growing around the gutter. But we replanted fruit trees, we replanted trees on our property after that. But just creating educational opportunities or resources on how to maintain the trees, because like there was one over by Mountlake Terrace Church where it had been really dry and then it rained and the windstorm, and there's still a divot in the sidewalk from where that tree fell across the road. So just, I think people saw that and they're like, oh, all of these trees need to come down. And so I've been seeing more of that by the rec center.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, and you know, I was just talking to the code enforcement person about a tree where the tree was too close to the fence. It was a large tree, and it was too, you know, they thought it was too expensive to cut down, so they just girdled the tree, killed it, and they created a huge hazard, you know, so that kind of situation. You know, they cut all the bark around it, so they basically killed the tree. So, yeah, that situation just made things much worse for them in the long run.
Yeah, or that tree along by Terrace Park, where they trimmed it, and then the rest of the tree fell over that night. And so the crews were out there at 3 AM cutting it down.
Yeah.
So one of the things that an urban forest management plan can call out as a long-term goal is ways to continue engaging the community, whether that's like people who are actually doing tree work or people who are in charge of managing tree work, if it's a resident or a property manager. And then making sure that those kind of best practices are available. And then part of the engagement for this is just having people even take a minute to think about trees, right? Just that like brief moment where you think, oh, I actually can't see 3 trees from my house, or I can see 5 trees from my house. Because I think a lot of people just, you know, we kind of take what we don't think about for granted, and taking a moment to think about it, and then there's gonna be additional resources or the surveys are kind of on Mountlake Terrace's website, so if there's additional resources that could be posted there for people to learn about best practices and tree management. It's another way to kind of bring people in. I think that's a huge issue.
You said for the canopy, the tree needs to be like 12 feet?
So it depends on so they use satellite data and LiDAR data, and it depends on the exact company essentially doing it and the area, the regions. I've seen anything ranging from 8 feet tall to like 14 feet, but I think that there are municipalities who have used as tall as 20 feet to look at the urban canopy, so it really depends on the data that's being.
4 meter or something.
And LiDAR is like a ground sensing technology, right? It sort of bounces.
So LiDAR is bouncing, right? It's like sending radar to the ground and then kind of measuring the distances back up to those sensors. It's exceptional for urban forestry, which is great technology.
Yeah, it can be, more accurate.
Yes, yeah, much more accurate.
Good morning.
Yeah, I mean, you have a long agenda.
Yeah, but unless, if you have any other questions and think of something else, please let me know, and
And I think maybe
appreciate
the
your comment. Okay.
no, sorry, I realized that we meant to put this up. And I don't want to derail everybody right now, but maybe you could save the link for later and then share it with any of your friends.
You don't have a printed version of this, right?
Well, this should.
Yeah, it's on the, it's on the,
Well, it's not.
in the agenda.
But it's, I thought it's just.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It should
didn't
be on
have the
the,
agenda actually.
See some more pages.
it's on the.
On the website.
Like your packet. And I'm trying to keep the number of brochures in the lobby stock, but people can take them, so that's good. I can put some more out.
Because I have a neighborhood park this Sunday. They can scan it before they can eat.
You're about like.
I know, I
Do
really
this before guests.
really.
I can invite my son here as a public speaker so that he can vent.
Actually, can I ask one more question? You mentioned the schools.
Yeah.
I think that's another reach that we sometimes have challenges getting to. So if there are like parent teacher association folks who might be interested. I think that's another like high quality potential list to get to if you're willing to advocate on this work.
I can ask,
Thanks for letting me plug that.
yeah, I can ask them to send the survey out with the, their welcome letters.
Oh,
Back to school, yeah, I can ask for the schools in Mountlake Terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, cause if you put it in Peachtree, then you have to really work to get it.
Yeah, I don't go to Peach when school emails and stuff.
Yeah. I feel look when someone says, oh, did you sign your kid up for, and I'm like, I don't know, where is it? Then I have to go look at the flyer, and then I look at more of them, and then I stop looking at all of them. Yes.
The reason why I mentioned the school was mostly because they do a lot of physical activity and the around needs to be clean. That was my reason.
Great, I mean, it's an important reason. So, sounds good. I think that concludes things.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Matt, even though we can't see.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
You too.
You.
Okay, budget proposals.
It's still there, Terrace? Oh, you mean, let's see, let's see.
There it is.
Alright. Yeah, have a good night. Okay, just wanted to give you a couple updates on our staff, DEI committee. So we've met four or five times now. We're trying to meet twice a month. Like I mentioned before, working on the charter and the community agreement, and just started reviewing the high level employee survey data from the spring for the DEI survey, which you will get to review next month. I was gonna have you do it this month, but Laura needed to visit with you in a timely manner. So we'll have Marcella from the Vita agency come in September and give us an overview of both the employee survey and highlights from the various interviews that occurred. And those were all internal to staff and the council. And then we will be also working towards community engagement for the DEI strategic plan. So I'm going to be putting together some engagement opportunities over the next couple of weeks. So also interested to hear if you have some small group discussions that you would like to lead or have me lead. If you have some groups that you're interested in, please let me know. I know we had talked to the Moss folks about comp plan, which didn't really work out, but would love to get a group of folks from over there to have a small group discussion about the DEI strategic plan, if that's a place that we could start. So if you have any other ideas, you can let me know in the next week or so, and we'll be putting a plan together. So the staff group is in a lot of different places. And so I think where we're gonna go next is do some more training together. I don't know if you've all explored the PBS series, Race, the Power of Illusion. It's really great. And maybe I would offer to do it in our meeting, but we could also watch it on our own and have a discussion in our meeting if you wanted. But I'll find the link for you and send you for videos, because the website has exploded since the days that I started using the website in like 2014 or something. But it used to be like 3 or 4 videos, and now there's like all these articles and timelines and amazing literature and resources for people.
Power of Illusion.
The Power of Illusion. So PBS, yeah. Or it used to be PBS, but just search for Race, Power of Illusion.
Okay.
So that's where we're headed with the staff group. Does anyone have a question about how that's going?
So I think that's one of the mandatory trainings that we had at the board.
Yeah.
Because like that sounds so
Yeah.
familiar.
It's a good place to start when people are coming from different places, you know, so, and it has
It's eye-opening to hear about what happened to certain people in this country.
Yeah. Yeah. So budget related things. So I shared with you the high level budget that was been put forward, but I wanted to have an opportunity to talk about in the next year or 2 years, like what you thought has been going well this year and how we, and it comes back to money in the end, but just how we haven't spent a lot of money, but we've been putting on some small receptions. We've been sometimes partnering with others and contributing a couple $100 here or there for like a speaker, or we could sponsor more partnership events that we didn't do this year, but we did 2 years ago. So there's those kind of opportunities. So the events that we're hosting and the costs associated with them, partnering with our neighbors who are doing an event when we're not doing an event. And the third thing would be training. So we've talked about an opportunity like in December to do the Undoing Racism training. There's the Step Up conference. There's some other opportunities that are out there for commissioners to attend. And so I just wanted to allow for a discussion about where you think our budget should go.
I would prioritize out the events that we host, because it gives us more control. Your citizen should go to something. Sorry. I think the majority of it should go to the events that we host. I'm not saying that 100%, but majority.
I will say that the receptions that have been hosted were, there was a lot of positive energy out of them. And then I saw similar faces and there was recognition at other events over the summer. I've run into several Brighton kids over the summer at events and just different things where they're like, they have a positive experience having come to the city council.
We also, I think, extended our help in helping like the Ramadan celebration, the Native American group. I don't know how much of an effect this would have on our budget, but we did say that we would participate in helping them get the word out.
Mhm.
I think there was more.
So of the kinds of events that we are doing or have done, like what do you want to repeat, or are there new things that you're thinking about? I just want to get like a scale. We don't need details, but I just want to understand the scale.
I would like the children's festival.
A children's festival.
The children's day should be, I think, I want that one to be repeated. I would like.
That was cool. It was really cool.
It was so nice to see those little kids walking around with their fancy dresses.
I think inviting the community in for specific reasons and having the receptions is a really good way of us continuing to build our network and to find more ambassadors to connect with and
Yeah.
create engagement, like not because I can't get my food at your house without filling out a survey, but like a want to be there, want to be engaged, like.
Yes.
I think that the movies in the park, this first that I got to go to one, and that was super
Mhm.
fun, and it just creates community.
Mhm.
What did you see?
Fantastic Beasts. That was the one we could go to. We had too much summer going on.
Does the volunteer event cost us money, or is that cities?
That's just, so all the city events that are not DEI are like what Andrew puts on, the movies, the music. And then Parks puts on.
So that's a separate
volunteer-
budget.
Those are all separate budgets. So just thinking about the things you've been involved, not volunteered at, but that we put on. So basically it's been the receptions, we partnered with the library on bringing the film from
Oh, the Chinese.
Seattle Chinese control team
Yes.
to the library. So we helped
Yeah.
pay for that.
Did we help with the speaker during Black History Month?
I think that was
Was that-
free,
oh, that was
yeah,
that.
they organized it, and we just helped promote it. But there's more if sometimes speakers cost money, with Humanities of Washington, it's free. If we wanted to do a different type of event for welcoming week or another celebratory month or day, then we have to think about what that would.
It would be nice to repeat that Ramadan thing. I don't know how costly that dinner was, but also to make it more equitable. Do we have a synagogue here?
Do we have what?
Jewish temple in Mountlake? I don't think we
I don't
have.
think so.
don't think
I've
so.
looked at all the spiritual
Yeah.
groups and I didn't see.
I don't think so, ever.
But we might have a community at least,
Yes.
but we don't track it, so we don't know, so who do we contact? Like, I'm just thinking that because if we only do the Ramadan thing and not the other religious groups, it can look
Mhm.
not equitable.
Mhm.
Well, I think that in my mind, I think that, our biggest targets should be those, we would want to have those people who right now are absent
Mhm.
from activity, absent from coming to City Hall, absent from coming to, to events, because there's a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of groups that you're missing, so, you gotta find some focus somewhere. And sometimes by doing Ramadan 3 times is gonna give you an opportunity to do another group because they're seeing what you're doing, with one group, because it wasn't done before, and the DEI, has done something new, and didn't let go of it after. I mean, one thing we can't do is stop doing what we did the last 16 months. I think we have to keep doing what we've done, and improve it, enhance it, don't necessarily have to make it bigger, but more meaningful, attract more attention, get more marketing from it, for what we've done, because you guys have we've done a lot of great stuff in terms of developing those relationships, and so we gotta keep doing that, cause one can't be done. It's gotta be a continuation, until maybe you get to a saturation point or it evolves to something else. You know what I'm saying?
It meant a lot to them, like they did call me, like the next day or the day after.
I heard about it in Shoreline.
What?
I heard about it in Shoreline because some of their folks that come
Oh.
there live in Shoreline,
Oh.
and I mean, because it was a first. So,
My only concern is that sometimes people can use this as an ammunition against the DEI efforts, saying these are all biased, you're only focusing on.
you're already doing that, man.
That's why I said, we need to show the community that we're open to every
Right.
group.
Right.
It's just, but we are trying to focus on who's absent, but,
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, that was my intention. That's
Yeah.
fine.
And I think there's some other spiritual groups that are focused on certain like Vietnamese Korean communities who we don't have a lot of communication with. So there's certainly other opportunities that we can continue to explore. Okay. Is everyone basically in consensus to keep on doing similar types of events at the scale that we've been doing this year? Whether we switch up, which ones are more of a focal point or not. Kind of
One
planning
of the
for.
things you brought up, the Ramadan dinner that we had, one of the things that, I don't know who it was that brought it up, but one of the contingent, someone on the part of the contingent mentioned that it would be great if the city participated in one of their like dinners for their
Breaking fast.
congregation. So they have a lot of different dinners that go on throughout that Ramadan period, and if the city participated in it and purchased some of the food or drink or something like that, that would be one way of us getting a hand in their celebration.
It was someone from the commission went.
Yeah, Rory.
The council, Rory
Yeah.
went, but I think 2 or 3 of the.
Yeah,
It was kind of a last minute invitation. They were hoping we could make it, so I'm glad we made it.
it was great.
Well, before y'all came on board, exactly that's how the conversations actually started, with Ramadan. Like we had gotten some ideas from Sabor. Sabor Dean had said exactly what you just said. So it eventually morphed into what actually happened. You know what I mean? Buying, mills, yada, 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 all the things that you just said, but what ended up happening was what happened this year. So doesn't mean it can't happen, but that's what was the conversation before you all joined the group. That's where we were heading. We were looking for some ideas and some, and because you was able to make the connection where we couldn't get the connection before, then that's how it evolved. That's exactly where it started. That's how the conversation started, with doing something like that.
I agree that consensus seems to be similar sized events with potentially slow escalation. Slow, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right. Plan for events, grand opening. I'm sorry to say I have no staff available to help this event.
Right.
There are weird vacations overlapping and Steph might will be there, but he's not your logistical person, unfortunately. So
we'll have a table.
I will leave. I need to coordinate with someone on Monday or Tuesday to help you get the pop-up tent, table, chairs. We need someone who has a big car. And
This upcoming Monday?
next Monday.
Okay.
Because I will be out Wednesday through Friday.
Got it. Okay.
And probably it'll be better on Monday because Tuesday I'll be going with council on the preview ride.
Alrighty, so 26. What time?
I could do something like after 3 o'clock.
Okay.
And available after 3 o'clock.
Do you wanna meet me here at 3 o'clock or 3:30 or what works for you?
3 o'clock is fine.
Um,
And how much stuff? It's the tent, which is wrapped up in a thing. It's probably
The
about
tent is-
8 feet long.
yeah.
About that big,
yeah,
yeah.
I have a table that I think folds in half back
Okay.
here, so it wouldn't be as long as, cause it's like 8 feet folded in half.
Okay,
Um,
I've got a table.
and then if you wanna bring some folding chairs, you could bring camp chairs or I can find you
I've
some.
got a
plastic.
camp chair. Oh, I've got folding chairs.
Okay.
Got some folding chairs.
And then, what I wanted to talk to you about is certainly we can have your board with the survey, but it's a little hard to get people to take the surveys in those environments. I do have a big coloring sheet, like a huge one that would cover the table, if you wanted people to stop by and do something fun, you don't have to use it though. And the other thing I thought might be pertinent, if you're open to it, is I could do a board of a conceptual drawing of the plaza with the artwork, which will be outside the south end of the station. And a better board than what we had at, the other two events of the trails improvements, the trail improvements in the
Oh,
Ridge
got it.
Park.
Yeah,
So, because that's like right adjacent. But there's also all these other opportunities to engage in what's going on, but obviously the DEI strategic plan, the trees.
Don't we have a board that has our mission statement on it?
You have this board, yeah. So that one I have ready for you, it has your mission statement and it has the QR code. with it.
right, that always travels with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the thing that goes up. It's
I have
like-
that,
Okay.
yes, I have
Yeah.
the pull up board and.
And that's all coming,
the
that's all
tablecloth.
stuff that you're gonna do.
Yeah, we need the sandbags.
Yeah. Do we have any giveaways, any?
I think we still have
Candy.
crayons.
We got crayons, good.
But I can get you some snacky things if you want. Do you wanna do otter pops again, or do you wanna do candy, or?
Um,
And we'll do whatever we can get. It's gonna be
any,
like a
that's
ton of
what
people.
I'm thinking,
Yeah,
yeah, 4 hours. And it's gonna be festive.
Yeah, I
We're gonna
don't
have
know
a lot of families here, I'll bet.
what, yeah, cause it's here and at Linwood at the same time.
Yes,
And
that's
Shoreline.
right.
It's like
Shoreline.
each-
And
And
Shoreline,
both-
yeah,
Yeah.
people are gonna be
Shoreline
bouncing.
Station.
They're gonna be able to ride for free.
Yeah,
And they're gonna get passes and they're gonna do things to encourage people to go from place to place by giving them
Yeah.
stuff.
are
you know,
we,
the
do
trains
we
and
have the
stuff.
shopping bags,
I don't know if how many of those left. I
Okay.
think we gave them all.
cause they're gonna come with shopping bags and they'll load them up and go to the next station. Yeah. Um. Yeah, if we can have something to give away for the kids, something to draw them to the tent.
Do you want the big coloring thing? Or no?
Yeah, because we went to I think we went to, I guess earlier this month or whatever, we were at them telling us the layout of everything.
Oh, yeah,
And right
library.
next to where we are going to be is going to be the children's garden.
Yes,
So where the kids can play and stuff like that, so whatever we can do.
That's right.
And so, yeah, I think the coloring table will,
yeah, it's
Will
an
be helpful.
alternate activity.
yeah.
I think you probably need Caroline's table and,
Yeah, and then the candy, so they
Yeah.
can
Oh, yeah,
candy
the
and
two
then go
tables.
yeah,
back.
might need two
play.
tables if your
Yeah.
map is that
But
big,
we only have one booth,
right?
so
Okay.
we don't have the double. booth.
Yes, but the booth is like a 10 by 10,
Mhm.
right? So an 8-foot table. Fit in there.
Or if you had 2 tables. Something like that, maybe,
I have
something like
a
that.
smaller skinny 6-foot table. And we bring that.
Yeah, I think we got one too.
So we have 2 small, no, we need the bigger table for the kids.
Yeah,
Okay,
So you are going to be at this,
what's that?
you're going to be at this event? Because I think I can be there to help you, so I'm gonna text you then to plan the
Okay.
details of it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think we had 4, Scott, Teresa, William, Anita?
No,
No.
I'm
Patricia.
out of town.
But Yeah.
The ribbon cutting's at 10 o'clock in
Patricia,
the morning.
have you
Oh,
heard back from her?
Can probably go to that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Cause I have to be on Hood Canal at like 3. So
Uh-huh.
I can probably go to the ribbon cutting in 2
Yeah.
hours.
And then hop on board.
Yeah.
Cause then you get to get out there. It's free all
We'll get
day.
there.
Hermit, I can't remember if you volunteered for the grand opening or not. I had the list, I sent it to staff.
I can help earlier. I would have
Okay.
to leave in the evening, so definitely set up, and if anything in the first hour or so, I could help out.
All right. I'm probably gonna get there earlier. I mean, not like at 3 to set up for 4. I'm probably gonna get there like
Well, you let
midday
us
or
know what
something
time
like
you
that.
want us there.
Whatever's,
Okay.
Wait, you need to be there at midday?
well, I was thinking of setting up because it's gonna be very crowded. Everybody's gonna be there with their vehicles and
Yeah,
unloading and things like that. And I'm thinking if I get there earlier, I can unload at least.
yeah,
And
because they didn't give us good logistics on that. When we were at that meeting.
yeah,
They hadn't thought of that.
no,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
They had
One of
not
the
thought
things
of
that
that
they're
at
not
all.
gonna have is they're not gonna have a router there. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm using, that's
So are you on an email list now for the vendors? Anything?
I've been getting information.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't know if I'm on the list.
right, because Andrew signed you up. So-
Yes.
And he won't be here next week, so I'm
Uh-huh.
just hoping
He told me about
that
that.
you are on the list.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, thank you all for doing that. It's, and then I've got post flyers here for welcoming week, and I can give you the, stand that we put flyers in if you want to hand any of those out.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
okay.
um,
So for welcoming week, are we done with this? Part here?
yes. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
For welcoming week, a journalist is asking if we can send them a press release.
Yes, I'm working on that. Thank
So
you.
that's something we can do.
I'm asking comments about that right now. I drafted one and sent it over.
Okay, because he also emailed me this morning saying, I decided to do a press release and we published it the week before the event. Can you answer the question how the city became part of Welcoming America? And I'm gonna respond to him without talking to the commission.
Yeah, why don't you just forward him to me
Okay,
and then I can answer.
thank you.
And,
I will be out of town for this,
okay,
so I won't be available. I apologize.
I'm here.
Yay.
You do the 30th, I'll do this.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah.
and, I know we said who would be here last time, but
Yeah.
just a refresh,
I'm in.
Janita, I know Teresa said she would be
Yeah,
there.
Teresa said.
Kermit, are you around that day on the 21st? I think you said you were busy.
Let me make sure here, so 21st.
I think it's 3 hours.
I am busy, that's right, I'm in Canada, so.
Okay.
You're in the wrong country.
Yes.
It's gonna be welcome in Canada.
Can you be there that day?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm quite upset about that one.
Well,
yeah, that should be.
Yeah,
alright, so no stop.
But thank you for the posters, because I started distributing them.
And I don't remember about Patricia. Okay, and then I think Andrew will be there, so, so confirmed partners, I have to.
It's a long list.
That
It's
is-
really impressive list.
I think I need to pull up our list on
Dropbox.
Dropbox and. Have people been updating them on Dropbox?
Not
I
since
can't
that.
get in there.
What is,
Have you?
I haven't had anything to update recently.
Okay, so.
We went back to 24-hour care for my mother-in-law, so I.
I think that
I feel like it's since
So
the last.
I'm, yeah, I'm hit or
I might have a couple of the folks
Trying
that
to figure
contacted
thinking
you
what I
that might
needed to
not
have
have been
done
on the
and
list.
haven't finished yet.
And I still, I mean, I'm trying to get a hold of WAWAC like every day. And He just don't pick up. You know, I saw him Saturday and he said he was going to pick up. He hasn't picked up. So,
Okay, so let me just pull up my internal version of this.
Is this about the welcoming?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh,
No, I think that's for the celebration is kind of the driving.
I like it. It's really-
It is. Trying to get people to, you know, not just visit the lighthouse station, but to take a while.
We don't have all the preferences here.
All right,
I think
so
that
it might be helpful if we just kind of go through this together and make sure we're on the same page, and I've meant since Monday to send an email to all these people, and we need to do that. Email for-
And for the line number 2, AARP never got back to me. So that's gone.
Okay. Alright, so. Oh, no, no, computer. Okay, so. Did we find someone for any ESL class? No.
No, I know.
Okay, so we have burdens, concern for neighbors. Oh, the school district is a partner, so several of us reached out, but that was awesome because they were able to advertise for free and keep short for it.
yay.
And they're on our posters. Andrew did a bunch of reaching out too, he's amazing. So Volunteers America will be there. Did we get,
No, leave one voters, they're not gonna be there.
no, and the reason being is because, you know, a lot of these folks, you know, aren't in a position to be registered to vote.
Yeah.
So they don't put that attention there,
Got it.
you know.
okay, and you said you're waiting to hear from
But you heard from Goodwill, though, right,
What's that?
Karen?
Goodwill.
Cause I saw an email. That was,
Ooh, it's good. There, yeah, that's it, yeah. I should move that up. Yep,
yeah,
Tommy.
yeah.
I wasn't clear whether the emergency management people said yes. or no.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, yeah, they
Sorry,
did.
I'll do it.
All right, and Andrew sent all these other invites out this week.
Awesome.
Um, So. Members name. Make sure I didn't-
Yeah, I think that domestic violence service is also something that. I'm connected with CASA, I think,
Let me just see where we're at. 18.
Are we going to be able to accommodate?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Andrew and I toured the school with the principal and some other staff the other day, and we have a layout. We're gonna use both the gym and the commons.
Excellent.
And so we need to figure out what kind of snacks we want to provide and games and sort of how to handle that. So one thing we were thinking about is keeping the food by the stage because we need to keep the food in the commons.
Yep.
It can't go in the gym, so kind of keeping it as far away from the gym as possible, but we'll use the door that's kind of in the middle of the commons and the gym facing south
Yeah,
as the main door, so people will come in, we'll have a welcome. Maybe we'll do a welcome table outdoors, assuming the weather is good, just to direct people and encourage people to come in.
There's a little cover under that first table, so if it's not super crowded, it should be okay.
Yeah,
Without
and then
pop-ups.
when they walk in, they'll see to the left, the food stuff in the gathering area, and then all the vendors and participants. But I was thinking, so certainly we'd need some of our people to welcome we'll need at least one person to be logistics, that probably could be Andrew, just helping people with their setup and all that kind of stuff. And then I was thinking if we had the DEI booth near the food, that we could sort of manage the food in the booth and maybe like a gathering area, and like, how could we make a comfortable place where people could have tea or coffee and talk and like let the kids color or play games or whatever, and like have conversations with people, you know, it's just trying to think of outside of the tables with the hard seats, if there's another way we can make a comfortable setting there.
Say the lunchroom tables.
Mhm. She's gonna bring other tables too, but I think the luncheon tables will
Yeah,
be
'cause
fine.
they can be borrowed from the school district.
Yeah,
So
she's,
these tables for like elementary school kids though.
No, they're universal.
Okay.
They're not first grade pods. No, 'cause they're sixth grade. They're sixth graders that are bigger than, like, that are adult, full-size adult sixth grade.
They'll be really welcoming. Yeah.
They don't really have-
yeah.
Like beanbags.
I was like, does anyone have beanbags or blow up couches?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's potentially alternative seating at classrooms. When the school year starts, I can go see which classroom has the most.
Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing
stuff.
is we could just bring like tablecloths from home. I can bring like to make the tables just look more comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. But those are a little hard to set up, so. She's gonna bring some folding tables and other chairs, because I think if you're.
Oh, they
a
have
person
chairs.
who's-
They have chairs that are not terrible
Okay,
for like assemblies and stuff.
all right. Good. So beyond coffee and tea, what other food do you think we should get?
Cookies.
Cookies, donuts. I mean, if ethnic foods, anything that you can think of.
Cookies cuts right through all the ethnic stuff.
All right.
Chocolate.
Do you have Smith Brothers come and have hot chocolate, like serve milk? We could likely
to get
get a
like cookie-
donation or an at cost purchase of little milks.
Mhm.
Cool.
Do you have a contact there? or-
I
If
don't,
not-
but I've just reached out to their customer
Okay.
care in the past. The other thing would be to ask Sally if, or Dr. Guzman, if the food services group could get us a case of milk.
Mhm.
Cause I think they're using Dairy Gold now. They used to use Smith Brothers when Emily started.
Okay,
But both of them are in-state local. Great.
all right, I'll figure out some food options. And then at our area, is there anything?
Fruit.
Yes, I put that down.
Fruit.
Yeah.
Like a bowl of little apples.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
At our table, what would you like to have? Any informational things? We can have our board, of course. But do you see yourselves more just trying to have conversations with people, inviting people over to the coffee table? Or is there anything else that you'd rather be doing?
That's what I would guess. I mean. Kind of like overseeing what's going on and, you know, maybe engaging in conversation versus, you know, a lot of handing out things. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's what those little 18 tables are for.
Mhm.
You know, to get them directed to, you know, or maybe have to maybe bring somebody to a table or haven't been there. So we should be prepared to have those type of conversations. You know, did you see that? Or, you know, do you need to go here? Have you met this person? You know?
Yeah.
Especially if you see folks just standing around.
Yeah.
You know, not being, or, you know, being maybe a little hesitant about approaching tables and stuff.
Oh, I should.
That's where our role should be, because we are that conduit between them and the resources. You know?
There was some of that going on at the Juneteenth, the Linwood
Mhm.
Juneteenth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Their table, they're right there in the middle.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay, so I've got lots of flyers here. I can print more for anyone who wants more. I printed 40 English and 15 of the other 3 languages. I was asked to get one made in Russian and I haven't made that request yet, so I need to do that. And I guess, are there, I can have staff put some posters up, but it would be mostly like the library and 8 or so key places that they typically go. So are there places that you think you could post the flyers that would help?
Yeah, my plan is to do that. I've got posters,
Okay, good.
you know, I got, you know, the house behind me, you know, they're Russians, and a lot of the Russian community, they go to church in Federal Way here in Mountlake Terrace. That's where they go. They go to Federal Way. So, you know, the folks behind me, you know, are going to, you know, and they're a very influential family, the ones that live behind me, you know.
Okay.
And so they are gonna help out with it.
All right, I think we've got those things covered. Is there any other thing that you want to give away? Right now, we have some crayons left, but not many. I know we talked about the bone case attachment or a magnet, or I probably we have a month. I could probably order some more things if you want something with your logo on it. for people to-
So what's a year's worth of swag costing us? Because obviously that's something that, you know,
A
we
year's
don't want to be
worth?
running out of.
Yeah.
The crayons were
Those are a hit.
250 for, I forgot how many of that.
I'm just figuring when you're talking about the budget, the things that we want to
Yeah.
do and continue doing, you know.
Where would we keep it?
Well, we places. to
In
keep.
a place.
Um,
Yeah. That would be better to have just a stash that we can go to for every event that we would have a table at.
Besides crayons, is there anything else people would like?
A lot of people like those blinkers.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I'm seeing them now at a lot of other places, so they were at the Western African thing and, you know, the Juneteenth for,
Yeah,
and what do you call it, for Linwood, you know, and so, I mean, that's, you know, especially now where, you know, where it's getting darker and stuff like that.
mhm.
So, you know,
People love gadgets.
you know, the magnets, everybody likes the magnets.
Yeah, the magnets.
Refrigerators.
Do you want, I guess, like, do you want a magnet with your logo on it?
That would be cool.
Everything's gotta have a logo.
We will look into this. Okay, so we have 2 proclamations that we approved last time. I wanted to just recap on recipients, backup speakers in case council members don't want to read them. And whether we want to do a reception or anything else special that evening. So I think I heard from 2 people about welcoming week. Families.
Yeah, I've got, right now, I've got Vietnamese neighbor, I'm sorry, Cambodian neighbor, and Indian Malaysian family. And I'm gonna see if the Russian family behind me.
When you have that confirmed, send me names.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I got, yeah, the 2 families that right now are confirmed, so I'll send that to you. Yeah. In fact, I'm Brendan. I told her I'm tired to talk to me. She didn't even know what City Hall was. She's
You know,
been
didn't
here
we-
a long time.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't even know what City Hall was.
I can't remember if somebody else had a family, if it was just William. Did any?
I had a candidate, but he said that he's going to be honest.
Okay. And then,
And I reached out to Alvaro, asked him if there was any families that he thought might want to participate. I haven't heard back from him. I reached out to him this week.
okay, and then. It's what we talked about for the extent. For the chain.
We talked about a teacher,
Dr.
Or-
Guzman
Dr. Guzman.
is willing.
Oh, okay, great,
I thought I had sent that, maybe I didn't.
you might have, I can't remember.
It was a while
So
ago.
it's been-
I was sitting here and I'm like, who did I not call that I was supposed, and then I'm like, no, I remember talking to her about it, because she's never been, she was honored to be asked
Oh, great,
if she would come, because she hasn't been,
okay,
so,
awesome. And she's been our partner for welcoming week,
yes.
so, yeah, all right, perfect. Anyone reached out to anyone else for Hispanic Heritage Month? Just wanna make sure we have a piece, didn't forget, somebody being bad. Okay, and would you like a reception beforehand, or, are we good with the proclamations and announcing our events? What would you prefer?
I think that,
It's almost
we only got,
nice.
we only got two families, you know.
Hmm.
I don't know. You know, about a reception, but we can get one, maybe, or something, you know, I don't know, I think a reception of any kind is valuable,
Mhm.
you know, because otherwise people walk into the thing,
Yeah.
they're like this.
Yeah.
And then they walk out, you know what I mean, the reception gets them ready. Well, so I think, yeah, they would, you know, at
And
least
well,
they see
there-
that.
there's all of the commissioners and the
Yeah.
council members typically come.
Yeah,
so,
so, yeah.
I think we could also invite other commissions.
Yeah.
When is the proclamation? The fifth, that meeting,
Yeah.
that I put on my calendar from before.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's the first, no, it's the second day of school, okay. It's like, oh boy.
I don't know, I just realized it was 2 weeks away too,
Yes.
and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
school starts on the
So-
4th, 9/4, yeah.
Reception,
Alright.
any food or decor preferences, we can do like, I'm a welcomer theme. But I know it's also National Hispanic Heritage Month, so if there's any combo of things, we could do I'm a welcomer theme with Hispanic students.
It's delicious to me.
I was thinking about getting you all t-shirts since you do so many events.
Hmm,
Yeah, I heard on my list,
really?
then.
I'm wearing my vote shirt.
I was wondering if you could just write your sizes down, or like, if there's,
So my business cards.
Okay.
I'll try to do men's and women's, but maybe if there's a universal size, what that would be.
Mine's empty.
All right, and then, next. Commissioner
Kermit.
reports,
Kermit, what
Yeah,
size
yeah,
shirt?
reception for both.
it's one night, both of them are on the same night.
Did
Kermit,
you ask
what
me
size?
what size
Yep,
shirt?
Yep,
Yeah.
2X.
Oh, yes, we should be front to both. Okay.
2X. Got it. Make it a small. Reports.
That was like a lot, that's not, you have to write your name and your shirt size. Then you're not universal.
Oh, that's okay.
Universal means men anyway, so.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It does.
It does.
Well, I actually don't know the difference, but I'm just going to other men just to be safe.
Well, women, they have the V-neck, that's kind of cool.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. You want to start us off?
Sure. As for activities, like everybody else, I think since the last time we met, built Terrace. That was nice event, National Night Out.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, I went to in Edmonds, the 32nd Democratic LD had a party or whatever, and that gave me opportunity, and everybody was there, you know, the US House representative, state reps, and everybody was there. And again, so I had opportunity to pass out some flyers, let
Nice.
us know what we were doing, you know, for a welcoming week and whatever. And then I went to the Western African festival out in Everett that day. Same thing, you know, again, you know, I'm still trying to tie them down. I think they're, you know, trying to come down from that weekend, but hopefully they'll be joining us. So that's what I did. The other thing that I have as far as a report is, you know, we talk about the benefits of the reception and the stuff that we're getting into City Hall and whatever, and getting people in there. And, you know, people, you know, are, you know, whether it's at Double D or wherever in the city, you know, folks, you know, are bringing concerns, you know, to me, because you're the DEI person. Right? And I've come up with this, and I wrote this up, that's why I had an email. I wrote this a few days ago, and even when we were and I was at the thing on the 12th, I guess it was, you know, at City Hall, for you know, the comp plan and stuff. And I was talking to a few people about some of the concerns that folks have been, and I've been, the two words that's been sticking in my head are the words, what if. And, you know, I think that, you know, that when we're trying to define what it is that we're trying to do and for whom, you know, Corinne, like, you know, this whole group, you know, what if? And the conversation was centered around, like, you know, I've had like, today I got an email, a whole bunch of people got an email from Katrina, you know, who's the she's a vet, and she's confined to a wheelchair, a mobile wheelchair. And over there at Sound Transit, you know, she had sent the email out asking for help because at that corner, you know, where they're doing the construction, you know, she can't get her, she can't move her, she can't get her wheelchair, she can't get from point A to B because there's a gap like this. And she actually, if she tries to go over it, she falls out of her chair, you know. And it was ironic because I had already wrote down, you know, and I was, you know, talking to Laura and then the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, well, you know, well, what if? And then, and I'm thinking about all these things, and someone asked me the other day, they said, how many crosswalks are there in Mountlake Terrace that have lights that if a blind person needed to cross the street and all there is when they hit the button is a light, but nothing like what's on Aurora that tells them, okay, it's safe to go.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was thinking about all these what ifs, you know, what if, you know, someone was blind and needed to cross the street, you know, and they don't know if they can or not. Or what if, you know, a person in a mobile wheelchair, you know, can't get up on the sidewalk? What if doing Tour de Terrace, the city, when they put up all those no parking signs, they put those no parking signs on the sidewalk where only a walking person walking single file can get down the sidewalk, which is what happened for Tour de Terrace for the day of the parade. What if, you know, someone wants to take their wheelchair and go down, you know, any one of these streets where residents have their bushes go so far out into the sidewalk that that person has to ride in the street? What if the people that live right over here at the elderly home, you know, want to get across the street, you know, or they got to come down to the light, use that crosswalk, but does the light gives them enough time because they might be using a walker and they can't walk as fast across the street as I can, you know? And so, you know, the message that keeps popping up in my head is, you know, we need to be, able to challenge, the city, the comp plan, the maintenance folks to have that what if tablet on the table anytime a plan is being discussed to do anything in the city. Because I know no one intentionally is trying to take away, folks' access to get from point A to B or to be able to do this and that. But if no one's at the table that represents that group, then someone's got to be at the table that has a tent card that says, what if? So that they're constantly in reminding that, okay, well, what if? What did we miss? What did we miss? What did we miss? So that's just been heavy on my mind since Tour de Terrace, because, a person told me, I got to go out in the street, and sometimes the police will tell me, get out of the street. Well, I can't get out of the street, because I can't go down the sidewalk. So that's my,
That's good.
and so I think that, we've gotta remind people. I mean, there's a whole lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
That's just an example. He said, Karim said, well, what if people start getting the impression that all we're doing is trying to help Ramadan, not, I mean, there's a whole lot that we need to consider, but we need to have that what if, tablet, tent card on the table whenever, and we got to encourage the city. We got to demand that the city has that.
It's part of our mission, isn't it? I mean, it's
Absolutely.
fun that we actually have input and sort of as a resource for city government. But that's good of the story. But yeah. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Cool.
I was a co-host for the Kazakh organization's inaugural picnic. We had Representative Roger Goodman from Washington.
Is that the Redmond?
Yeah, the one in Redmond. And we also had assistant consul from the Kazakh embassy in San Francisco. It was a big success. And I did not know that Mr. Goodman actually traveled Central Asia and Kazakhstan, so he started telling us about his stories. That was the only activity I had.
Commissioner Francisco.
I did the Tour de Terrace parade. That was fun. They hand out candy and I got my workout of chasing people down the street with the wagons. And then I had a booth, and so I barely visited the city booth that weekend, but promoted some other local nonprofit endeavors. I attended a special education PTA meeting with Edmond School District staff. So there's going to be launching a special education parent group for parents across the Edmond School District, so at the whole district level instead of just being in specific schools. And so they've been working to making partnerships within the district. So I've been helping with some of that work. So that some of the disability and community access that students need and families need connection to can have resources and even just community within each other to talk. Like, who do you go to for X, Y, or Z? And then I've been doing a lot of outreach for voting. I was working at the accessible voting site in Monroe because they were short-staffed. And so I got to go hang out in Monroe for 13 hours on Tuesday and I missed National Night Out. But we helped 60 people that day. So that was good. And I did some jail outreach. And we had, I think we ended up with 120 ballots that we were able to connect with people who were at the jail. So it's people who are eligible to vote. So they're not currently serving a sentence for a felony. And either they haven't been able to vote before or they lost the right to vote and they can have it again. And so it was really rewarding and interesting talking to the people and some of the stories of like, I did this last time, or what are we voting for now? Like there's civic engagement happening. And so that type of community building creates opportunities to prevent recidivism. for returning. And then I was able to chaperone my kiddo and her best friend to go see Fantastic Beasts in the park. And so that was fun. Except that I sat too close to one of the lights or something and my bug spray was insufficient. And so I was smothered.
Nothing to do with the light.
That is one new business thing that I have, is I think that we should encourage bat boxes be put up at Candy and other parks in our city. I should have brought that up to our tree people, but yes, I think we need bat boxes.
We might wanna talk to zoologists because they can actually spread diseases as well. I mean, I love them so
Yes.
much, but I'm
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
We do have
Alright.
that,
oh, good,
but I don't know that we have them anywhere else. I have to ask.
because they
There's
like
a
to
healthy
grow,
population of mosquitoes for
they
them.
like to grow in that grass. You have to keep it really short to cut it back.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Okay. Kermit, I'm sorry you had to follow Vanita.
I was able to spend time in the city booths, both at Tour de Terrace and National Night Out. And I just want to say how much I enjoyed not only talking to residents, but also staff. A lot of the staff volunteered, and I realized as a commissioner, I haven't had a lot of time to speak to staff, and they were energetic and excited, and they've put a lot of time into the comprehensive plan and everything. And so I really enjoyed learning from them and listening to them as they talked to residents about details or answered questions. I enjoyed that a lot. And then I also want to say I participated in Celebrate Shoreline Festival. They had I played Hawaiian music, and we had hula dancers in our group. They also had a Portuguese drum band and a reggae band and a swing band. And I just thought it was really cool how the festival had so many ethnicities represented in the main stage, in the music stage. That's all I had.
Excellent, thank you. For me, Tour de Terrace Parade. The next day, I helped out with the pancake breakfast. Served up a lot of that. People are into those pancakes.
Yep.
I mean, big time, like, because it's unlimited pancakes.
Hey, I was a baking guy.
Your
I was
plate.
a baking guy.
Yes.
I was banging some bacon.
Light rail event seminar that William and I attended, and National Night Out. And that was, it continues to get bigger and bigger every year. Really
Yes.
enjoyed the turnout. The CPAG open house. And it's nice to see how all of that information is not so cryptic, not as cryptic. It's very much easier to read. And anyway, I commented about that, and they loved that comment. Yeah, it was, you
Yeah.
could approach all of those
Yeah,
boards
sure.
and you could make sense out of it. Linwood Luau was kind of cool last weekend. Big, well attended, lots of great food and music, and yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Let's see. First, I know this is just one of the things, William, but I wanted you to know that we do have an ADA transition plan for sidewalks. And what the plan does is, at the time that it was done, it identified the things we needed to fix, and it's supposed to have a prioritized list of how we're supposed to address them. And Jeff Rivers is our contact, so if you see something, I mean, we don't have the funds to fix everything, like it's astronomical how much it costs to just replace a belt, like a curb cutout, and so this is why the federal law has been put into place where you have they call it a transition plan, like how are we gonna fix things every year and get towards a place where we're universally accessible.
And it's part of CPAC, or it's part of the planning.
Comprehensive plan,
Yeah.
yeah. So just wanted you to be aware of that, and that there's a staff person that you can talk too. Obviously, you can always look at me too, but Jeff is. Let's see. So one thing I'm going to share via email that we do have a date set for the undoing racism training. And that is the December 6th and 7th. And I believe it will be in Shoreline. And so I wondered if anyone was interested in attending. Benita went and Teresa went last time.
What's the date?
6 and
December
7.
6th and
It's
7th.
a Friday and Saturday.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really
I
powerful.
wanna get there, but. 6. I
would
can
say
do the 7.
tentatively,
Is it 6 and 7?
Yes, all day those days, and
Yeah.
I really want you to commit to those days.
Can't do it.
And are you interested in-
Fridays.
Okay.
It's worth taking the vacation day. You can.
I'm saving so I can go back home.
I'll
It's,
know.
it's
I'll know
worth
the 27th
asking
when I
if
see
you
the doctor,
if
you
it
know, what.
would
what
count,
restrictions.
like if you could take the day to go to this training.
Carolyn, if other folks go, I think I could.
Okay, yeah, and we can extend the invitation to council members as well. That would be wonderful if you can go, Erin.
Kermit, are you free?
At the moment, but there's a possibility of a Las Vegas weekend that I would not be able to turn down, so. And not, you know, it's work. I just say that. it's work.
hold on, yeah, all right. Yeah, none of us turn down work, yeah, I got it.
Yes, yes. It's a job, somebody's gotta do it. that
11 o'clock
kind
at
of thing.
Okay, well, I will forward the details to those of you who expressed interest. And let you know. So our next meeting, we will definitely have our friends from the Vita Agency join us to give us an update on the engagement that has occurred today, as I mentioned. Yeah, the community ambassador program, you mentioned.
Well, you know, it's kind of like what I had talked about with this group. I think that, you know, and I might have knew that I spoke to, I think we're at that point where we need, I mean, we're calling them ambassadors. I think ARPA calls them subcommittees, you know, but I think we're at a place now where we could probably solicit and get help for events or for things that we're trying to get done, like surveys and whatever. And what I would like us to be able to do, and I know Ricky Frente had that list that we had like a couple of years ago that never went anywhere, but maybe we can, you know, revisit. I think me and Ro had sat down with her, you know, and you know, here in City Hall, and she had this list and everything, and I know I still this somewhere, but you know, to revisit the idea of, you know, building, you know, or furthering some of those relationships so that we can, you know, build these subcommittees of people or that can help us, you know, do some of the things that we're trying to do. I mean, you know, we find that even with some of the events that we have, we're not 100% there because we can't be there. But if we can have ambassadors, you know, within the community with the different groups, then we can have help and we can get people there. I you know, I think it was like might have been doing National Night Out where I was comparing the crowd from National Night Out versus the crowd at Tour de Terrace. And I'm not talking about the numbers, I'm talking about, you know, the various ethnic groups. And there was a marked difference between who was at National Night Out versus Tour de Terrace, you know, and a lot of the minorities weren't at National Night Out compared to Tour de Terrace. And I always ask myself why, you know, and know, perhaps if we had ambassadors, you know, within our, you know, earshot that could help, you know, explain, you know, that national night out for the kids, in my mind, probably was a better night than Tour de Terrace was, you know what I mean? Because it was free, everything they did was play, fun, but they weren't there. You know what I mean? And so when I think of, you know, like this ambassador program, I think we really need to start thinking about, you know, who can we have, who can we get to help us? You know, like I said, you know, like the tree folks got subcommittees, every neighborhood has, what the parks has, you know, a committee for every park within the neighborhood to do stuff in the park. And I don't mean to be at that level, but we gotta start somewhere, you know, in order to, you know, I think just to prevent burnout, you know, if nothing else, or whatever, you know, and give credibility, because those people still say, what's DEI in this city? They still say that, you know, and so we need more voices, you know, to help with that message. Yeah.
So that will be an agenda.
Yeah, I will
Next
see how much time we have, at the next meeting, and if we can maybe start a conversation, but have a more robust one in October, if that's okay with you. And I can also send some models out for you to review on how other cities have approached this. There's a lot of different ways. Community ambassadors or trusted advocates are used in different places, so.
Nice.
Great. Anything else for new business? Alright.
Good. 9:03.
Okay.
Dog.
Right on
We are done.
time.
Are we off the? Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, well,
Thank you for joining us.
Commissioner Page. Oh, we just pick that up. You're still there, Kermit.
I am
Thanks.
still here, yes.
You're good,
There we go.
terrific. Thanks.
All right, have a great week, and we'll be seeing you soon.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes,
See you,
thank you.